One of the frustrating things when you're dealing with Scratch is when you have a sprite that doesn't appear where you think it should be appearing. Let me show you an example of this. This is one of the students in the class turned in this for homework 1 where they were making their initials. And when we ran the program, we noticed the following. So let me run it. You'll notice that the crab sprite isn't appearing where the pen is, right? It's actually appearing, the pen is appearing to the right and below the actual crab. I'll run it again. And so that's frustrating. You know, this student probably spent a lot of time trying to figure it out and where the coordinates are to draw those letters, and yet the crab isn't there. And you may see this in other situations as you're playing. You're working with a couple of sprites and you send 2 sprites to roughly the same area and they don't appear next to each other. Or you may have a sprite with multiple costumes, and when you change from one costume to a different costume, the sprite appears to jump between those 2 actions because the costumes aren't lined up. And all of these issues come down to an issue of where is the sprite located with respect to where Scratch considers the center of the sprite. So let me look at this particular let me show you how to fix this problem. So if we go into the costumes for this sprite, and we're looking at Crab A here, and I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger, my edit area, so we can see a little bit bigger. You'll notice that we have the crab here in my paint editor, but you'll notice right here, I'm hoping that this shows up in the video recording, you'll notice that right here there is a little cross plus sign. And this is what Scratch considers to be the center of this particular sprite. And when you send a sprite to a coordinate, so if I were to send this crab to 0, 0, what actually will go to 0, 0 is that cross right there, right? And so, in fact, if I try to send this crab to 0, 0, it will in fact turn out to be at something like, you know, -20, -40. I'm making those numbers up. I don't know what those coordinates actually are, but you can see it wouldn't show up where we want to. So the problem is we want this crab to be at the center. And if you come in here, you might try some different things where you try dragging it, and that's one way to do it. You can drag it. Another way to do it is to actually, up here in the very upper right-hand corner, and I actually had to make my paint screen large in order to get this plus sign to show up. But you can grab this plus sign and click on this, and now you're in a mode where you can set specifically where you want the center of that sprite to be. And now, let's go back out. So either one of those will work. Now if we run this, you'll see that the pen appears from the center of the crab rather than some space nowhere near the crab, just by resetting the center of the thing. And again, you'll notice that that option isn't visible on my screen right now until I make it big. And in part, that's because I have a relatively small screen right now, so we get a good resolution when filming for you. But that's what we need to do. We need to reset the center. Again, another place you might see this is when you switch between 2 costumes for the same sprite. With the girl that you're going to see in the knock-knock joke, sometimes when you switch between costumes, she doesn't appear in the same place. And so you can reset her center so that everything moves properly. So that's how we reset the center of offset sprites.